poliment de s'occuper de leur vie d'ailleurs. J'aime pas les gens qui ne s'occupent pas de leur vie.
The slam began in Chicago. It began at a small place called the Get Me High Jazz Club. It was a Monday night poetry reading that I started. Why? I worked in construction most of my adult life, my first 12 years of my adult life. I always wrote. I tried to do the paper, you know, submit it to be poems to be published. He had a few published. Not very rewarding, very isolated, very lonely. You know, writing for most writers is a very isolated thing. I quit my job and wanted to find out what was happening in the contemporary poetry world. Didn't want to read all the books. I'm a slow reader. So I went to poetry readings, there were very few. I get to the poetry readings. First of all, 5 people, 10 people, nobody goes to them. Second, very boring. Blah, 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 blah. When I teach classes, I say, here's how they used to do it before. I will read you my love poem. I love you, I love you, I love you. Now I will read my angry political poem. I am angry, I'm angry. Horrible. And for me, literature and poetry was passionate. And now here I go to these poetry readings and it's just horrible. Immediately, I understood that what wasn't happening is they were not trying to communicate effectively on the stage. They had written poems and spent much time writing the poems, but they had not learned or even tried how to communicate with their voice, with their face, with their eyes, with their soul, with their bodies. And that's what I did that was different. I started to do that, criticized by everyone, because poets were not supposed to do that. It's not like there hadn't been poets in the past that did that. Many did, many succeeded. But collectively, poets did not do that. So what I did different is that I started a collective of poets in Chicago that dared to perform. And that's what it started at the Get Me High on Monday night. That show became very successful. I formed a poetry ensemble, the first Chicago poetry ensemble, which was different because poets were always performing alone. Now we do it like ensemble, like a theater company or a musical ensemble. And then I started a second show at the Green Mill Jazz Club in Chicago. And that's the show I called the Uptown Poetry Slam, and that's where the name attached. But the movement had really started a couple years before that. And the Green Mill show started in July 1986. The competition is just one form of a performance poetry show. We had started the Green Mill show and we had the ensemble performing, and we would fill up most of the evening, and we always got to the end of the evening and we still had time to fill. And one night, on this moment, we said, let's do a competition. There had been other poetry competitions around. We did the competitions as a mockery of competition. It's just a game. It's a theatrical device. That's what I try to get across to people, that it's not to determine who's the best poet. It's a theatrical production choice to focus the audience's attention. After the Green Mill show started to succeed and other shows started to happen around America, we started the first national slams. And that's when the seriousness came And that's when the rules came. And the rules were invented by me.
Really?
Yes, for the first National Slam. For those of you interested in the slam, believe me, break the rules. The rules are meant to be broken. There should be no finite rules. Break them. Do it any way you want. It's a game. It's not meant to determine who is the best. The people get better, and sometimes the best win because the audience wants to see great work. But deciding who is the very best, no, it's a game. Slam, and I didn't know this would happen, it has become one of the most vital tools to get kids interested in literature again. And also to get kids to open up their own selves and have a voice. The so-called troubled kids, we call them special education kids, the kids that are the problem kids, they usually turn out to be, they have big troubles at home, but they usually turn out to be the smartest and the most creative. The slam has given these kids a constructive opportunity to express themselves, and it turns their lives around. Their imagination, instead of doing something destructive with it, they do something positive with it.
Yeah.